All right, readers, I got a stack of them. Hi, readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to a video today about books and within a certain category that has been coming up for me a lot lately, and I can't wait to share this with you. I got a bird feeder from my partner for Valentine's Day. I haven't had one for a while. We had one when we first moved in here that we brought from our old house, and it was deteriorating and it did not last long. And it was also like nailed to the fence, and rain and all kinds of stuff, wood bird feeder. So we don't have one for the longest time. She gets me one for Valentine's Day, and I absolutely love it. We have it hanging. It is something I look at every day, and I was so excited by it, and so was she, that we ended up getting another one. So we have two of them. I'm showing you a picture of that, obviously. And I watch these birds every day. I sit sometimes when I'm on my couch, I watch them playing in the yard. I watch them circling each other. I watch them eating the birdseed, which they eat a lot of birdseed. They really love our food. And sometimes my dog sits and looks at them and guards them from the neighbor's cat. When he comes in the yard, she rushes and sends him out the way. And there is an app called Merlin Bird ID. And you can take a photo of the birds that you see, and then it will tell you what those birds are. So I try to do that whenever I can. Sometimes I can grab them, sometimes I can't because they fly away if they see me come to the window. American goldfinches have been by, mourning doves, northern cardinals, blue jays, a red-winged blackbird that I cannot get a photo of lately. That one is driving me insane. Sparrows, doves, you name it, robins. They're coming and they're eating and they're making my days so happy. It's like my best favorite thing to do now is to sometimes sit in the rocking chair quietly and watch the birds come and feed in these feeders. And they're just so wonderful. They're sturdy, they're great. So this led me to think about the books that I've read about birds, or books that I have about birds. One in particular was standing out at me because when I journal in the mornings, there it is. It's right there. I see it all the time. So I decided to do a video about books about birds, or books with birds on the cover. Some of them I've read, some of them I have not. So let's talk about bird books. I could talk about Bird Box, but I'm not going to talk about that one. I have read it though. I did really enjoy it. I could also talk about The Birds, the short story by Daphne du Maurier, and also the movie, which is incredibly horrific too. But I'm going to talk about books that are not horror-y today because I think that we just need a little bit of lightness, right? So let's do this. Okay, this one is nonfiction. These are the books. The first stack is the books that I have read about birds. So the first one, the oldest one, is Pegleg Pete. This is a duck, obviously. And this is a story of a man named Mel Ellis who rescued this bird, this mallard drake, and I guess homed him because he was injured. And I loved this book. I think it was published in 1974 maybe, or somewhere around then. I read it around then when I was young. My mom and dad had gotten it because they thought it would be something my dad would love, and he did. And this one has stayed with me all these years. It just really is a lovely story about how these people rehabilitated this duck. And I love ducks, and my mother did not love ducks because they would come up out of the lake where we lived and they would poop all over the yard. But I absolutely loved the ducks. Now, my mother, ironically, did not love any real birds, and one of the things that happened one year was my brother-in-law got her a book about raising birds and taking care of birds, and we all laughed so hard because she absolutely was terrified of birds. But my dad loved them, and the rest of us are pretty good fans of birds, I would say. This one, Other Birds, Sarah Addison Allen. This one has also stayed with me all this time. This one came out in 2022, and I love Sarah Addison Allen. I'd like to read her to zero as well. Writes some really magical fantasy-like works with characters that you can really get behind and really care for. And in this case, That is absolutely true. So this is about a community in South Carolina. It is a number of apartments in a building, and there's an apartment manager there as well. And Zoe Hennessy comes to the apartments because her mother has passed away and she's going to manage her estate and all the things that she left behind. And when she gets there, she starts to meet some of the other people in the apartment complex, including the manager. She also starts going through her mother's things, which you can imagine is a little bit chaotic for some people. And she's also kind of trying to heal herself from some things that have happened over time. This is a beautiful story with a lot of magical realism. These birds on this cover, this is what they are, the birds that are around this community, these little, what do they call them? Delawisps. And her neighbors all have their own story. And I really love that. You know, I love a book about a number of people and kind of how they come together, or maybe how they don't. But there's also a lot about her experience with her mom and her life changes for her. I just loved it. I just loved it. I think this is my favorite Sarah Addison Allen book I've read. So I really recommend that one. Then I have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is the 10th anniversary special edition. I have another edition. It's on my Pango shop if you're interested in reading this. But I loved this book as well. There's the beautiful cover of a nightingale. This one also has sprayed edges and end papers. I got this not long ago when I saw that this was out. But 10 years ago, me, my partner, my youngest daughter read this book. I think we read it around the same time together, kind of, but I could be wrong about that. But I remember this book. I remember crying at the end of this book. I remember where I was when I finished this book. I remember calling them and saying, I finished this book. It is so good. It is dark. It is difficult, but this is about two sisters who are French, and they are living in German occupied France. At least one of them is. The other one is also trying to, she's traveling. They're a bit estranged, the sisters, but they're trying to sort of just survive at this point, right? So you get two perspectives of them, but you also get the perspectives of what's happening during this time, during Nazi occupied France, and during this space of World War II, and all of the fear and the not having access to things and having to, really ration foods. And in this particular case, something happens to one of the sisters that I thought was terrifying. Like, I would have just lost my mind, but it is really well done, beautifully written, and I think of all the Kristen Hannas that I've read, this is absolutely still my favorite. So I will never forget that, and I'd like to reread that one. As you know, I'm kind of in a rereading phase, and this one as well. This was really, really good. Sue Monk Kidd, The Invention of Wings. I've read almost all of her books. I think there's maybe one I haven't finished, and there's some nonfiction of hers that I think she wrote one with her daughter. I haven't read those, but The Invention of Wings also just hit me, and I remember it. Isn't it funny that I remember so many books about birds that I read, and a lot of other books I'm like, I don't even remember what happened in that book, but this one, so powerful. I cried when I was reading this one too, and I was on a trip for work, and I remember I was just, oh, it was just beautiful. Okay, so she wrote The Secret Life of Bees also, which I love, and she wrote The Mermaid's Chair, which I also love. But this one is about Hetty Grimke, who's an urban slave in Charleston, South Carolina. And she wants to leave this space and to leave this family household where she's enslaved. And she meets their daughter, Sarah, has known her for a while, and she discovers that Sarah has this sort of feeling about her that is very different. And Sarah is meant to do something large in the world, and she decides that she's going to do something about what's happening to enslaved women in the South. And so this is set on, it begins on Sarah's 11th birthday, and she's given ownership of a slave whose name is Handful. Handful is to be her handmaid. and the next 35 years unfold in this book. And I have to tell you, it's incredible. It's so, so good. So if you haven't read any of these, I recommend them very highly. Now, one I started by an author I'm just talking about but didn't finish is Fly Away by Kristen Hanna. It wasn't because it wasn't any good. It was just because at the time I didn't finish it. It was just not the right timing for me, but I've had it for a bit. This one came out in 2013 or something. It's been out for a really long time, at least in paperback it did. I read the first one, which was called Firefly Lane, and I really loved it. This is about Tully and Kate, and they meet each other as teenagers. And what happens in that first novel really does set the tone for this one, I'm certain. But this one, they are older and some things are happening. I don't want to know a whole lot about this, but I do know a little bit about this because I did read part of it. I probably got about a quarter or a third of the way in and then did not finish. It has a little bit more darkness, although the first one is definitely dark as well. Firefly Lane is not an easy read. As they met and they grew up as teenagers, and you know what teenage life can be at times, but for one of them it was incredibly bad. You really learn a lot about them and their tenacity. But also in this particular book, I think as they grew older, some things have happened and they're pretty difficult for them to face, but they're trying to face them together. But I love this cover because of the birds, obviously, and the flyaway sense of it, but also I really enjoy Kristen Hanna. I just don't always I like more of her newer top titles than I do the older ones. So we'll see how this goes. But I would like to prioritize that at some point because I've had it for so long. Then this one I got not long ago, but it's been out for a bit. This is Still Life by Sarah Winman. This was a GMA book club pick. So I don't know if that means anything to any of you, but I will say that oftentimes when I read a GMA book club pick, they are good. So she's written a number of other books, including Tin Man, which I have been told by some podcasters that I listen to that one is the best one they've ever read. But this, at least paperback version, came out in 2021, and I got this not long ago. I think I got it at a library book sale, perhaps. But I love this bird. I love this cover. This one is also set, there's a theme here. This one is also set during the war and the aftermath of the war in Tuscany, 1944. Allied troops advance and ships sink and people are obviously bombed in their villages. And a young English soldier named Ulysses Temper meets a young woman named Evelyn Skinner. And Evelyn is an artist, and they really connect and hit it off. And they stay in relationship during this very difficult time in war-torn Italy. But they paint a course of events that will shape Ulysses' life for the next while. Now, I don't know what happens to Evelyn, but I will say that later on, Ulysses returns to London, and his unexpected inheritance brings him back to where it all began. So it says it's beautiful prose, extraordinary tenderness, and bursts of humor and light. A sweeping portrait of unforgettable individuals who come together to make a family, and a deeply drawn celebration of beauty and love in all its forms. Yes, I would like to get to this, and I would like to get to Tin Man too. But this one is the one that I kind of heard more buzz about. I think Tin Man is gaining some popularity recently because people are talking about it, but most people I've listened to have said that that was their favorite of all of hers. So there you go. The next one is Nonfiction, Mockingbird, a portrait of Harper Lee by Charles J. Shields. I've had this for a bit. And Harper Lee is very provocative, let me just say. Of course, I could have brought forward To Kill a Mockingbird because I did love that book as a young person, and I've read it more than once over the years. But I wanted to read this one because I've always been curious about her kind of quirkiness and her beliefs about certain things and her experience in life. Because she was very reclusive, she was very quiet. She often, if reporters came near, she often did not speak to them. She would not do interviews. She became dear friends with Truman Capote, which was a lifelong friendship for both of them. She also went to the University of Alabama, and she lived somewhere near me in Alabama. They celebrate her a lot over there. And she did write more than one novel, but it took a while. And the second novel that was called is called Go Set a Watchman, which I have on my shelves and haven't read it, got lots of difficult press and lots of people really got mad. So my curiosity is piqued, but also I'm not sure that I'm going to really love Harper Lee as a human being by the time all this is over. But this would be my next step, I think, is to get a kind of a picture of who she was. And she was very reclusive. She was very isolated. And she grew up, I'm sure, very poor. But Truman Capote and Harper Lee's friendship is often talked about too as a very strange kind of marrying. And there are some people who believe that she didn't write To Kill a Mockingbird, or perhaps they believe she didn't write Go Set a Watchman. But she passed away in 2016. And I think around 2016 was when I thought, you know, I probably need to learn more about her, because that's a book of mine that I've always considered a favorite and talked about in multitudes of classes, both in high school and in college. So we'll see if I get to this, but it would really be nice if I did. And then another physical one that I have and I'd like to get to is Birding by Rose Ruane, or Ruane. This one came out, was longlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction in 2025, and I was immediately drawn to it, not only by this cover, but also by the synopsis of this is about two women, Lydia, who was a teen pop group, like fanatically popular person. And she's been in this situation for a really long time. And as sometimes happens with teen stars, pop stars, she's had some rough stuff that's happened to her. And it's changed her. And so she's gone off to this little community around 30 years later with the Me Too movement every day coming out with something about someone and really reminding her of all the things that have happened to her. And then she's overwhelmed with memories of that life and just needs to find some peace. So she takes off to this place with this boardwalk. And then Joyce, who's never left home and has a suffocating mother named Betty, meets up somehow with Lydia, probably on the boardwalk. And look, this young person, she and her mother have to wear the same clothes. They have to dress up in the same way. She has to have a certain way about her, certain air about her. She cannot do lots of things. And now as a middle-aged person, she's noticing and feeling like, what if I did this? Or what if I didn't do that? So between Lydia and Betty, there is some relationship that happens, I think, and I can't wait to get to this and figure it out. Jenny Godfrey loves it. I love Jenny Godfrey as well. So yeah, not too long. I don't hear a lot of people talking about birding, and I would like to be talking about it soon and tell you that I finished it. All right, and then the last one is a Nook title that I acquired, so I'm going to pop up a picture of it, but I talked about it before because everybody was talking about it and still kind of is. So this has a 4.34 rating. Over 50,000 people have looked at this, but a lot of people I know have loved it. This is When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridson. And it's translated by Alice Menzies. And Lisa Ridson is a new author to me. I have no information about Lisa Ridson except that she's written other books that have not been translated yet. And she lives in Sweden. So you know I had to read a book about a Swedish author because that is my genetic heritage on my mother's side. But When the Cranes Fly South, not only a beautiful title and a beautiful cover, but it sounds like a beautiful book. So this is about Bo. He's an older man and he has some health challenges. And because of this, he has a home care person who comes to his home every day, check on him, make sure he takes his meds, probably all that stuff, maybe gets him up walking, I don't know. Bo has a dog. He loves that dog. He is closer to that dog than anyone else in the world, including his own son. His son then interferes in his life and decides that he should be placed in some sort of a facility so that he doesn't have to have home health care from other people coming in. And he also thinks that he does not, and maybe more than thinks, he's going to take that dog. And that dog is all that Bo wants in the world. And Bo and his son are really conflicted, and this isn't going to make it any better, right? So this raises all kinds of emotions for both Bo and the dog. And he knows that he's running out of time. He knows that his life is limited. So this book really explores how he's coping with this, how relationships change and shift, and how imperfect some of the ways in which he's been and expressed himself over the years, and just how imperfect parenting and life can be, probably. It sounds dark, but people say that it's a must read for me. People who know me and know my reading tastes have said more than once, you need to read that book. So I have it on my Nook, and I would like to prioritize that as well, because it's excited me ever since I saw it. And that is also a backlist for me because it came out in August of 2025. So if you've read any of these books, I would love to know what you thought about them. If some of these are books that you'd like to read, tell me that as well. If you have other books that have birds on the cover or that are about birds, I'd be thrilled to hear about them. I feel like I am creating a relationship with my birds in the neighborhood, and that relationship will probably be strengthened if they watch me reading a book on my rocking chair, right? But they certainly do eat a lot of birdseed, and they are just bringing me so much joy. If you don't want to leave a comment about bird books or about books that you've read or not read about birds, you certainly can leave an emoji, and you can, there's some birds there. There's a lot of different things you can leave. So feel free to do that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support always. For those of you who also love birds, good for you. I'm glad that you do. For those of you who don't and are like my mother and are, kind of frightened by them, you probably stopped watching this video long ago, and that's also fine. So no harm done, no foul. Did you see what I did there? Okay. Thanks so much again for watching, and as always, happy reading. Bye.